Hong Kong steps up precautionary measures against Zika. Straight twist in New Territories West Ledgeco race. And a ban on the burkini swimsuit divides France.
Hello and a very good evening. Hong Kong is stepping up measures to fight the Zika virus. This comes after the city reported its first imported case of the disease last night. And there are fears more imported cases could surface as people return from the Olympic Games in Rio de Janeiro. Winner Wong has our top story tonight.
Government staff were out in force today carrying out mosquito control measures in areas visited by Hong Kong's first Zika patient. They sprayed insecticide around the International Finance Center in Central, where the 38-year-old expatriate woman works. Another major anti-mosquito operation was carried out near Lohas Park here in Cheung Kwan O, where the woman lives. Exterminators specifically targeted these shrubs growing in nearby construction sites. This Cheung Kwan O resident says his family will take better precautions when it comes to avoiding mosquitoes. But the Zika virus will not affect his decision on whether to have another child or not. The patient is believed to have also visited Wan Chai and Sai Kung before she was quarantined. The announcement of Hong Kong's first Zika case was made by the Center for Health Protection last night. The woman began feeling joint pains and developed red eyes on Saturday. She went to see a private doctor several days later, who arranged for her to take blood and urine tests. Both results came out yesterday, showing she tested positive. She is currently being treated in an isolation ward at United Christian Hospital and is in stable condition. The woman visited St. Barthélemy in the Caribbean earlier this month and recalled having mosquito bites there. Her fellow travelers have yet to show signs of having contracted the virus. The Zika virus is a mosquito-borne disease and generally poses little threat to healthy adults. However, it can be spread from pregnant mothers to their fetuses and has been linked to babies being born with microcephaly, a birth defect where a baby's head is smaller and the brain is not completely developed. Jasper Chan from the University of Hong Kong's Department of Microbiology says Hong Kong could expect more imported Zika cases over the next few months. But Dr. Chan says unless a local case is reported, there shouldn't be too much to worry about. Winna Wong, TVB News.
Liberal Party member Ken Chow says he's no longer running in the New Territories West geographical constituency in next weekend's Ledgeco election. He's cited threats from a higher level. Chow is out of town until after the election. His key pro-establishment rival, Junius Ho, has denied involvement. Adam Shu has more.
At an election forum last night, Chow made the shocking announcement that he would no longer run in the upcoming Ledgeco election. Chow later gave recordings to the media in which a man said he would summon 20 to 30 people to pursue him at a forum in order to give him a hard time. Junius Ho, who's also running in the New Territories West, confirmed that the man in the recordings was a member of his campaign team, but he denied having threatened Chow.
There was no intimidation or whatsoever. It was purely an internal discussion of my campaign team, and I had no knowledge or no idea as to how this sort of the internal discussion could have gone out and got into the ear of Mr. Chow.
Ho insists it's part of a smear campaign against him. In a statement, the Electoral Affairs Commission says anyone who threatens his or her rivals to try to get them withdraw from an election can be jailed for up to 7 years and fined $500,000. Anyone making false or misleading statements about his or her rivals will also be punished. The Liberal Party believes Ho had nothing to do with the incident. It also claims Chow spoke of external pressure coming from a higher level, but did not elaborate on who he was referring to.
Hopefully, given a little bit of time, he could overcome his fears and he would come forward and let us know. And if he lets us know, then we can follow up, and we will. If we have the information, we can't sort of be just speculating, guessing who these people are.
There are currently 20 lists of candidates in the New Territories West constituency. They are headed by Wong Yun-Tat, Andrew Wan, Ko Chi-fai, Ken Chau, Cheng Chong-tai, Kwong Kun-wan, Michael Tien, Junius Ho, Leung Chi-chung, Kwok Ka-ki, Wong Ho-ming, Lee Chek-yan, Wong Chun-kit, Alice Mack, Frederick Fong, Chan Han-pan, Clarice Chung, Hendrik Lui, Tong Wing-chi, and Eddie Chu. Adam Xu, TVB News.
A motorcyclist was killed after his vehicle was hit by a coach inside Chung Kwan-o Tunnel. Stains were later spotted on the road surface. Caleb Leung reports.
The incident happened at around 7 this morning. It involved two vehicles traveling along Chung Kwan-o Tunnel towards Kwun Tong. According to the police, a motorcycle went out of control and fell onto the ground near the tunnel exit. The driver of a coach traveling behind tried to brake and steer away from the motorcycle, but it failed and the coach rammed into the motorcycle. The motorcyclist was trapped under the coach and was rescued by firefighters. He sustained severe head injuries and was certified dead at the scene. The coach driver was arrested on suspicion of dangerous driving causing death. He's been released on bail and will have to report back to the police early next month. A driver who witnessed the incident said the road surface was very slippery when the crash happened. The police said they found stains from the middle of the tube all the way to 300 meters outside the tunnel exit. Tunnel staff used sawdust to cover the stains. It's not known yet what that substance was, and samples have been taken for testing. The tunnel's operator said after going through CCTV, it found that the stains came from a truck that traveled through the tunnel shortly before the incident happened. The police say they will investigate the case by looking at the road conditions, the bus driver's driving attitude, as well as the condition of the vehicle parts. The police have also urged the public to provide information. The Kwun Tong-bound tube was closed after the incident, causing severe traffic jams. All lanes were reopened at around 2 p.m. Caleb Leung, TVB News.
Turning overseas now, French human rights groups have challenged the legality of municipal bans on the full-body burkini swimsuits in France's highest court. A ruling is expected later today. The bans have sparked an intense debate over the right of people to wear what they want on the beach, as well as the reaction towards the integration of Muslims in society. It seems sad that an item like this is making headlines. But these are the strange times we live in, when authorities are starting to police what people choose to wear on the beach. More than a dozen French municipal authorities have banned the so-called burkini from the beach, with police already cracking down on people violating the rules. But French human rights groups have hit back, appealing to the country's highest administrative court to have the burkini ban overturned. The debate over the right of Muslim women in France to wear the burkini, a one-piece swimsuit which covers most of the body, has triggered more soul-searching over the place of Islam. Many see it as an overzealous reaction towards the integration of Muslims in French society, a reaction which seems to have lost a sense of proportion even as the country grapples with the threat of Islamist militancy. Over in the UK, a protest was held outside the French embassy to demonstrate against French police forcing one woman to take her bikini off while she was on the beach, an act which protesters say was discriminatory and degrading.
I think it's outrageous that a Muslim woman was forced to strip in public on a beach by armed police. I think it's an outrageous attack on all women's rights to choose what we put on our bodies, but also I think it's an attack on Muslims.
Even senior politicians have waded into the issue, with the mayors of London and Paris criticising the burkini bans.
Now, I appreciate that there is a state of emergency in France, and I appreciate the challenges faced by France as a country, but I'm quite clear in my mind. I don't think anybody should be telling women what they can and what they can't wear.
The burkini has been banned by at least 15 French towns from Corsica to the northern coast. Most restrictions have been enforced in the southeast, an area where the far right is strong
and which is a gateway and home for many immigrants.
At least 11 officers were killed and 78 people wounded when a suicide truck bomb exploded at a police headquarters in southeastern Turkey. The attack occurred in the mainly Kurdish Sirnak province that borders Syria. No group has claimed responsibility, but Turkish authorities blame the Kurdistan Workers' Party, or PKK. The militant group has waged a 3-decade insurgency for Kurdish autonomy. The attack comes just days after Turkey launched an incursion against Islamic State and Kurdish militia fighters in Syria. Ankara says it wants to clear its borders of militants to prevent a new flow of migrants. And it's promised to continue the campaign until the country's security is guaranteed.
Strong aftershocks in earthquake-ravaged Italy continue to rattle residents and rescue crews as hopes of finding more survivors dim. The death toll in Wednesday's quake has now risen to 267. Italian Prime Minister Matteo Renzi pledged more money and measures to help rescue efforts and rebuild the devastated region. Alan Buchnia reports.
In Amatrice, the worst-hit town in the area, the biggest aftershock of the morning sent people screaming into the street. The U.S. Geological Service said it had a magnitude of 4.7. It was only one of almost 500 tremors that have followed Wednesday's pre-dawn quake. Meanwhile, emergency workers with sniffer dogs clambered over piles of debris, trying to find anyone who might be buried beneath. Rescuers refuse to say when their work will shift from saving lives to recovering bodies, noting that one person was pulled alive from the rubble 72 hours after the 2009 quake in nearby L'Aquila. Italian Prime Minister Matteo Renzi authorized 50 million euros in emergency funding and canceled taxes for the area's residents. Measures, he said, are just the start of what will be a long and costly rebuilding campaign. But he also said it would be absurd to think that Italy could build completely quake-proof buildings. Following the earthquake in L'Aquila 7 years ago, the government introduced new, stricter seismic building codes, but not all older buildings were brought up to standards, and those codes often aren't applied even when new buildings are erected. This latest earthquake laid evidence to that, as some buildings crumbled to the ground, while ones next to them still stood erect. Some experts estimate 70% of buildings in the region prone to earthquakes are not quake-safe. Alan Buchnia, TVB News.
And still ahead in our newscast.
The senior management's position on the debate about Hong Kong independence is that this is not a realistic option. More importantly, it would not be in the best interests of the university.
Hong Kong U speaks out against Hong Kong independence. Welcome back, our Olympic athletes. And dissecting the Champions League draw.